just by getting your reaction to the really awful news about Walter Smith. Tributes flooding in from all around the world. Just wondering what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, it's so sad, to be fair. And Walt was a fantastic man, and he was the one that gave me my first Scotland cap many years ago, and I worked with him very, very closely coming through Scotland, and I've got huge respect for him as well, and especially what he done with Tommy Burns as well, and Carnage Coffin at the time. So he tried to bridge the gap as well between the two clubs, which was fantastic at the time. But every time I met Walter, he had so much time for every single person as well, and it was great about the place with Scotland. He was a fantastic manager for the club as well, and what he's done for the Scottish games, amazing, to be perfectly honest, for the whole of the country.
I mean, as you mentioned, he handed you your debut Scotland cap. I mean, how would you sum up not just the football man, but the man, because he was one of the greats, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was fantastic, and he gave me a bit of advice once when it was my first cap. He went, "Wee man," he went, "go on and cause carnage." And I was like, "Oh yeah, thanks very much." He went, "You're going on up front." He went, "Go and cause carnage and get yourself a goal." And to be fair, on the day, I scored the goal, but it was offside, and it came off, and it was a fantastic occasion as well. And it was at the time you're looking, and it was probably one of the first times that I met Walter when I was going into the Scotland squad as well. And it was this huge presence at the time, and you knew when he came in the room, everyone went dead quiet, and everyone had huge respect for him as well. And he was a fantastic manager at Scotland for Rangers as well, and what he done down in England too was fantastic. We're working with huge clubs and huge managers as well.
You obviously made your mark as a Celtic player, but I mean, if the course of history had been different, I mean, I believe Walter tried to take you to Rangers.
Yeah, I had a good relationship with Walter, as everyone knows, at Scotland. Him and Coisty were there with Tommy at Scotland at the time, and the three of them, it was great banter, and it was so chilled and so easy to go into, because it was obviously a hard situation for myself, 17, 18-year-old coming into the squad at the time, and everyone made you feel welcome, which was fantastic, and especially the coaching staff like that as well. But yeah, I had the chances to go to Rangers, and I think at the end of the day, it was nothing to do on behalf of Walter's part. It was the drive that I wanted, and it was the club that I wanted to at the time. But we still spoke whenever we met. I met him down at Cheltenham a couple of times as well, and he gave me a few horse tips. So we still kept in contact that way.
And just a final one from me on all of this. I mean, I guess it's going to be a pretty poignant occasion, I would imagine, the game tomorrow night now.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure both sets of supporters will show their respect as well, and I think there's a minute of applause as well, and I think that's the least we can do for the man.
Brilliant. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Scott, obviously we got back to winning ways against Hibs on Saturday, and it was a strange kind of game because he played some really good football first half, and then injuries sort of dictated that it was going to be a little bit backs against the wall, but every challenge that was thrown at you, you faced up to and surmounted.
Yeah, I think we have played some great football over the past 5, 6, 7 weeks, but we've just not got the results that we've been looking for. And I think sometimes you just got to be horrible, hard to beat, defend well, and try and get that clean sheet. And we need to build on that confidence. And the clean sheet was with a few different players playing in positions and stuff that they're used to, but we still managed that, and that gives you confidence going into the next game. And Big Joe made a couple of fantastic saves too.
Going into the next game at Ibrox, you could do without having the injury list that you've got, but I think it's an opportunity for others to come in and stake a place.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that's why we've got a big squad. We need to try and use it as well as we possibly can, and it's hard when you've got this amount of injuries, but we've still got to look forward to the game. We've got to try and do what we do. We've got to try and keep a clean sheet in the first place. So I think we go there, but we try and play football, but we have to defend like what we did against Hibs as well, and be hard to play through, close the lines, and we have to show Rangers that little bit of respect as well. But at the end of the day, it's all about how we perform and how we play.
Talking of respect, as a hugely successful ex-Celtic captain, you're not going to be cheered to the rafters when you step onto the pitch, are you? But do you use that to motivate yourself to even higher levels of performance?
Yeah, it's not just about myself, it's about the rest of the lads as well. And if I can take a little bit of pressure off everyone, I don't mind that coming onto my shoulders.
Christian Ramirez, match winner once again on Saturday. An excellent goal, expertly taken. He's finding a real niche as a top scorer for Aberdeen, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been brilliant since coming in. His finishing's perfect, to be perfectly honest, the last couple of weeks, and he gets those chances, he scores the goals, and I think that's what we've been missing, those chances that we've created, the clear-cut chances that Christian can finish, because we all know what he can do in training. He scores some fantastic goals, his link-up play is getting better as well, and his finishing's the best at the club. So we were delighted when Calvin went down the line and he cut it back to him 10-15 yards out, and it was a fantastic finish. But I think if you look at open play without penalties, is up there with the top goal scorers in the league.
Wish you all the best tomorrow night, Scott.
Thank you.
So did you enjoy your sojourn into the defence on Saturday? Obviously needs must, but a clean sheet under your belt must be good.
I've done it a few times before. I've done it in a pre-season when I was at Celtic. I played in a back three, dropping in, just trying to play and build from the back, and it's something that I know a little bit about. I know I drop deep anyway to get on the ball, and sometimes the 2 centre-half split, so it's a natural position for me to be in. But to play 40 minutes centre-half and not really affecting the ball higher up the park is a little bit different, because I usually have that luxury to come out the back two, back three, and I can push on, where I had to make sure that I was a little bit more static and stayed behind and just defended more and made sure that Roscoe and Dave done my running when it went out wide.
Right. The way that you had to deal with that adversity as a team, could that be a big kind of moment in your season, because you were under pressure with results? You lost defenders before, during the game, and then you came through with a clean sheet, a win. Could that be a big moment, you think, just in helping the team that to push on?
Everyone's a huge moment for us. We need to build on that now. It's going to be a hard game on Wednesday. Then we've got Hearts up here again on Saturday. So it's 2 big games coming for us that we're looking forward to. And we need to try and pick up points as well. So no, whatever formation, whatever team we play, I'm sure the lads will be looking forward to the challenge ahead.
Just a quick one from me, Scott. Obviously, it was a well-sized poor run of form at the beginning of the season, and it really kind of flared up last week. But after that win on Saturday, do you feel as if the pressure has kind of eased off a little bit now?
We're just concentrating on the games ahead. We're not worrying about what's in the past. You can talk about the past if you want. We're concentrating here to talk about Rangers and how we're getting ready, and make sure that we are focused on the next 2 huge games ahead for us.
That's fine.
Cheers, people.
Everyone good to go?
Yeah, off you go, T.
Stephen, I guess tomorrow night's game is going to be a pretty poignant occasion after the awful sad news about Walter Smith today. Just give us your thoughts on and reaction to today's news.
Yeah, it's obviously terribly sad news. An absolute giant of the game in Scotland has passed, and we get the opportunity to pay our respects to him tomorrow night as well, as part of what's going to be a huge occasion. So it's never great when it happens, clearly, but we'll be there and we'll pay our respects to a great man.
Did your path cross much with Walter Smith at all over the course of your own career?
Over the course of my life, probably more than career. I think as a young kid growing up in Dundee, watching his team, seeing the influence that he had on a very, very good Dundee United team at the time. Then watching him have a big influence when Graham Souness changed what Rangers were, I think, for a spell. And obviously the Scotland team, playing against his teams. Last year, fortunate enough to meet him, or not last year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, fortunate enough to meet him in Atlanta when he was visiting his brother. So great guy, only too willing to impart his advice and talk about football, which was his obvious desire, and his passion, sorry. So it's a sad occasion. He leaves a lot of people behind, but a lot of people are very proud of what he did. And I think he meant a lot to Rangers, and we'll feel that tomorrow night, I'm sure.
And just a final one on that. I mean, the tributes are coming in from right around the world, right across the football spectrum. He is a man who falls into that category of the greats, doesn't he? What was it, do you think, that kind of sets him apart, maybe from some others in the game? Just what is it that makes him a great, maybe stand out from the crowd?
I think in general he came across a very humble man. He wanted the best for his club, his country, any club that he was representing at the time. He had a class and a dignity about him as well, I think. And I think that's why so many people from multiple clubs are showing the love for him that they are just now. And I think the respect from this club in particular, when Sir Alex Ferguson takes him as an assistant to Manchester United and the Scotland national team, I think that tells you everything you need to know about him and the respect that he's due from people at this club.
If I may just move on to the game itself, Stephen, just in terms of your team news, obviously a few bumps and bruises from the weekend. Just where are you at with Jack, Calvin and Declan?
Yeah, they'll be unavailable for the game. Really unfortunate. The two young fullbacks have been brilliant for us all season. Declan's come back in and looked good as well. So it's disappointing. It gives other people opportunities, though. That's how we're going to look at it. It gives us a problem we've got to fix, like we did at the weekend in the game. At least we've got a couple of days planning this time, which helps. So we're looking forward to it, and I'm sure the players that will get given opportunities are looking forward to it as well.
And just in terms of the three guys, I mean, what are the nature of the injuries, and is there any indication at this stage as to how long you might be without them?
We're looking at a few weeks. I think we've not had the full prognosis yet, but we're looking at a few weeks, and it gives us that opportunity to plan for that as well. So I'm sure beyond the international break, I'm in them.
And just a final one from me, Stephen, just in terms of the game itself, I would imagine there's been a good spirit about the place after what was an excellent result and performance at the weekend. I mean, I know you've always spoken that the spirit's been good anyway, but have you just noticed something, just a bit more of a spring in the step of the boys after getting that result and a real sense of positivity?
At the danger of downing your question, no, because I feel like that I have been banging on that the spirit's been here, and I think that's why the performance was there on Saturday. You saw a team that scored the first goal that had something to hang on to a little bit, showed a real desire to hang on to it as well. So, and it always feels better when you win, of course it does. And I think it almost vindicates the work you're doing a little bit more as well. So, but in terms of positivity around the place, that's never been lacking.
Okay, all the best tomorrow.
Cheers. See you tomorrow.
Stephen, you must have felt, though, that there was great support given to you and your staff and the players from the stands at Pittodrie on Saturday there, because although it was by no means a full house, everybody stayed to the end to give you your due applause at the end of that match. Yeah,
I think the fans saw something that they could get behind, and I think that's always going to be the case with the supporters here. If you give them something to get behind, they'll get behind it. And that's the onus that's on us as a staff and the players. And to me, that's never in doubt. The noise they made was brilliant. There was a little lull and Hibs started coming into things second half, but I think the fans themselves felt it and they sparked up again. And they gave the players a little bit extra energy. It was needed when you get 7 extra minutes or whatever it was at the end. So it was very helpful to get us over the line. And hopefully we'll see them again all on Saturday and a few more.
You had to chop and change your back division multiple times during the game, switched formations 2 or 3 times, but you dealt with everything that was thrown at you. That must give you great belief going forward.
Yeah, again, I've already got great belief in the players. I think there was a lot of in-game management required from ourselves as a staff, changing things quick, changing personnel, changing formations a little bit, and also the players showing a little bit of understanding of it too. But I think every time we changed, there was an injury that gave us an opportunity to speak to the players, which helped. But again, you're changing things tactically from a plan that you set out in the first place. It's never easy. So delighted for the players that they got over the line and the deserved victory, I think.
You're looking now to go into Rangers with anything but your first choice defence, and you must be praying that you're not going to have any more injuries to central defenders, because looking at the entire playing staff at Pittodrie, you're now Mason Hancock, Evan Towler, boys like that are almost coming into your thoughts, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they'll have to, and that's always a situation at the club when you get a multiple amount of injuries. I think tomorrow night there'll be a very good back four that's not available before you start looking any deeper. I think you've got the 2 young fullbacks, Andy Considine and Gallagher, that are not playing. There's more unavailable than that as well with Mikey Devlin. So it's we're bare bones at the back, but we've shown a willingness and an ability to overcome that, and we'll deal with any obstacles we get thrown. Again, we didn't look for excuses when we weren't getting victories. We'll not look for them when we're going to Ibrox with a depleted group. We'd all acknowledge that, but again, it's a challenge we're looking forward to.
You see, it is something of a free hit that if you take anything out of the game, you're going to get huge praise. If you don't, people are going to say, well, look at the injury problems that they've got and the recent run that they've been on. Nobody expects you to win at Ibrox.
I wouldn't take it quite so far as that. I think it's an opportunity for us to do well. I think if we don't, I think I know what we'll get accused of anyway. So it's not, I don't think there's any free hits at this club.
Wish you all the best tomorrow night, Stephen.
Cheers, Andrew. Thank you.
Stephen, I know Joe Lewis took a hit to the face as well at the weekend, so you're right to go again?
Yeah, he's fine. He's got a bit of a black eye. I think he's got a couple of stitches in his nose, but he's fine. Yeah, he's good. And
I mean, obviously, the way he responded to having been dropped for a couple of games, how pleased were you with the way he responded to that?
Yeah, I was delighted. I didn't doubt his mentality for a minute. I think it's why at the time when I left him out of the group, I was very clear that it was nothing more than that. I think he needed to come out for his own benefit for a bit. And it was up to myself and the staff to decide how long that was. I felt like the way Joe was training, it was time to put him back in, put the responsibility back on him as well, and put the trust back in him. And I think he 100% repaid that on the weekend, and he gets the opportunity to continue that again.
And I know we talked about the three defenders there with their injuries. Is there anyone else still out? Anyone else close to coming back?
No, not at the moment. I think we go as we are from past weekend.
Perfect. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Stephen, you spoke about a couple of months ago, maybe about young players who were just boiling under the surface, quite close to the first team. Will they be? Do you feel then if you have to bring in young players in your defence that you've got guys who are ready?
It's difficult because you're bringing in players right into the coalface, I think you would say. So it's a difficult position to come into. I think if you're rolling along at the top of the league and everything's smooth, it's a little bit easier to bring defenders into your team. We've got different ways of coping at the moment. Young players is an option, moving people slightly out of position that might have played there in their younger days or can actually just adapt. That's another option. So everything that we'll do will be for the benefit of the young individuals, especially. You've got to get that right when you do it, and also the club. I think it'd be easy to chuck a couple of young boys in centre half, take a heavy beating at Rangers and say, look, we played young kids, but it's not fair to the young players, to be honest. All right.
Sorry, when you talk about players possibly moving position, presumably Scott Brown falls into that category, and he's really impressive playing at centre back against Hibs. Is that a long-term option possibly for Scott and Aberdeen, or is it more a kind of short-term until players come back?
The weekend, it was a quick fix. It's something that we've got to decide on for this week. We've got other players that can play centre half, have done in the past. We've got the option to play a back four. So we've got a decent amount of options still. To me, it's not a case of focusing on what we've not got, it's focusing on what we do. Scott comes into that category. He can help us playing in the midfield as a pair, as a single. He can play at the back as well. So makes it a little bit more difficult for other teams to predict our lineup.
Cheers.
Okay. Cheers. Thank you.
All the best.
Thanks, Stephen.